Audio Jungle.
Okay, so anyway, today I'm going to introduce to you SAM. So it's seriously addictive mathematics. This program is actually originated from Singapore. It was created by one of a teacher who used to teach in the top primary schools in Singapore for mathematics. Okay, so this is actually a quote from a Marshall Cavendish director, Yap Banha. So what he says is that if we teach today's children as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. So why he said this is that because the world is changing. There's globalization, there's technology, and it constantly changes. And the thing is that if we continue to teach the way how we have been teaching so far, what happens is that our children will not be prepared for tomorrow's world. And one thing, everybody, I'm from Singapore, and I know that my Singapore accent is very thick. Okay, so if you cannot understand me, you have to slow me down and let me know. The thing is that I know Singaporeans, we don't have the R. My boss has it, I don't have it. Okay, so if you can't understand, you must tell me. Okay? Okay, so what is traditional mathematics? Traditional mathematics is actually Saxon mathematics from the USA. So Philippines has been using this for quite a while already, and some of the schools here are still using traditional mathematics, which is not wrong. It's actually a good way to teach, but the problem with teaching traditional mathematics is that you use a lot of procedurals, okay, memorization, rote learning to actually understand how things work. And children, most of the time, humans, in fact, we are not meant to memorize things too much. So when you can multiply and things like that through memory, when we grow older, we forget. We really will forget. Okay? So it's an overemphasis on memorization, repetition, whereby learning mathematics becomes tedious. And children tend to function mechanically without actually understanding what's going on. So one very big example is actually fractions, division of fractions. What we realize is that even when I ask adults, how do you divide fractions? If you do not remember that you need to invert and multiply, you actually can't solve it. But in SAM, what we do is actually we teach how fractions are formed, what is a fraction, and how to actually draw it out. Okay? So in the 20th century economy, what they will be using is mass production and also infrastructure development. So memorization, rote learning, doing things over and over again in repetition was the correct way to learn. However, right now with the world changing, what happens is that we are no longer needing people to repeat things. What we need is actually thinkers. So thinking is actually a very important thing right now. And what mathematics actually does is that it reinforces thinking, like critical thinking, metacognition, and heuristics. So this is the 21st century economy. Okay. Okay, this is 21st century learning competencies. It's actually higher order skills required to be successful in the 21st century society and workplaces. So this is what Singapore Mathematics and SAM, this is what we're working towards. And this is why Enrich Asia is actually bringing in brands that are focusing on the 21st century learning competencies. We are trying to train children to learn how to think better, think faster. Okay? So what is Singapore Mathematics? I shall not bore you the history. Okay, Singapore mathematics in itself is actually a vehicle for the development and improvement of intellectual competency. What this means is that mathematics itself is not the destination. How high you score in mathematics does not ensure that you will do well in future. However, mathematics is used to actually increase a child's IQ. How you think, how you analyze data, how you read the data, and what you make of it. Okay? So this is the Singapore Math Curriculum Framework. It's very, very similar to the Philippine mathematics framework. In the heart of the framework is actually problem solving. In Philippines, it's problem solving and critical thinking. Okay, so the two mathematics frameworks is actually very similar. It's just how things are delivered. Okay? So for Singapore Math, we actually involve acquisition and application of math concepts and skills to solve non-routine, open-ended questions every day. So our focus is actually to ensure that the children, once they graduate, they are ready for the working force. Okay? Because, I mean, every day you work, you don't see the same problems over and over again, right? You see different problems. And the most important thing that your boss hires you for is to solve problems. Or at least she hires me to solve problems. Okay, so Singapore Math, one of it is actually the CPA approach. So after years of development of the Singapore Math curriculum by the government, what we have noticed is that the most successful children who scores the highest and actually scores highest in our team's survey, that is a global examination, what happened is that we realized that the CPA approach is the best. How many here have children? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, so many. Okay, parents, when your kids are young, do you realize that they are grabbing things and putting it in their mouth? Even when you don't want them to put it in their mouth, they still put it in their mouth, right? Okay, so what we have noticed is that children at a very young age are actually kinetic learners. What this means is that they learn about their world through touch and feel. You shouting and screaming at them makes no difference, right? Yeah, I shout and scream at my niece, they just ignore me most of the time. Okay, but what we have noticed is that when you teach children with manipulatives, things that they can touch, they can feel, they can see for themselves, they learn a lot better and they learn a lot faster. Understanding becomes simple. Okay? And then after that, we move into the pictorial method. So pictorial is actually for us when we are adults. You can't be taking erasers from your desk, breaking your pencils just to calculate and try to solve problems, right? So pictorial method, what it does is that it allows you to learn how to visualize in your mind how to solve an issue. Okay, then following that, we move to abstract. Abstracts are things that, like numbers, multiplication, divide, and times, symbols basically, that holds no meaning until you give it meaning. Okay? So by teaching this way, what we have realized is that children absorb a lot better. They can understand and they can see things easier. Okay, so this is actually a rundown of what is the difference between traditional and Singapore mathematics. Okay, so traditional mathematics teaches you how. So teacher will go in front of the table, the class and say, okay, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, and then you just memorize it that way, right? But for us, what we do is that we show them why 2 times 2 is 4. And multiplication in its essence is actually repeated addition. So we actually explain to them how it's done. Okay? And then also for traditional mathematics, you move immediately to abstract ideas. You teach them jargons like plus, minus, divide. But these are things that you don't say in the real world. So what we do is that we substitute it with terms like adding on. We substitute with things like share equally for divide. So these are things that they can actually understand better. And then after that, we move on to more abstract things. Okay, so traditional maths also focus on procedure and formulas, but we don't. Before we teach shortcuts and procedures, we actually explain to them so they know. Even if I forget the shortcut, how to do it, I still understand and I still can manipulate things myself, or I can draw it out to actually solve the problem. Okay. So we use bar modeling. A lot of people, when I ask what is Singapore mathematics to them, they tell me, oh, bar modeling and word problems. But it is true that we have it. It's one of the elements. Okay. But what we do is actually we use it to develop the students' visual skills so that they can solve complex world-life scenarios every day. Okay. Mastery of procedures are achieved through repetition and drills alone. So what happened in traditional mathematics is that every year you learn the same things over and over again, hoping that if I didn't understand it in grade 1, I'll understand it in grade 2. In Singapore mathematics, we don't do that. It's a more drilled down in-depth scope. So what we do is that it's used spiral method. Every grade is a different topic. So it gets harder and harder and harder until they reach grade 6. Then that's where we teach algebra, only in grade 6. Because if I teach grade 1 algebra, numbers already confusing enough. Now I add alphabets, it's going to confuse them even further. Okay? In traditional mathematics, the goal is to be fast, accurate in computation. But for us, it's to develop analytic skills, thinking, and understanding of math, concept, and visualization. Okay, so Singapore students are actually the world's math leader. We have scored first since 1995 all the way until last year. The next test I think is in 2018 or 19. Yeah, so this is testing children in grade 4. Okay. This is the International Mathematics Achievement. So to be up here, right, you need to be scoring, I think, Josh, how many percent?
Sorry?
How many percent is the top? They need to score how much percent? I think about 90, 95, right, or something. Yeah. We'll give you the figures later. There's too many numbers. Okay. Okay, so this is the 2015 results. And this is Singapore Math in the Philippines. Now, what we have noticed is that the bigger schools right now are using the Singapore Math method. They are actually using Marshall Cadovish textbook called My Pals Are Here. So Marshall Cadovish is actually a consulting company for SAM as well. We run through our curriculum with them. In fact, one of the directors is actually an ex-Marshall Cadovish staff. Marshall Cavendish, sorry. Okay, so SAM is unlike any Singapore mathematics program in the Philippines. You have several programs here, including tutorials as well. But SAM is the only one that is originated from Singapore. It is created by these two men. This is actually the teacher, Chin Long. So Chin Long used to teach the top primary schools in mathematics. And then the two of them actually have very young kids. And what they realized is that there's a gap in the education system. So they set out to actually develop something for their own children. And then it started becoming more and more popular. And now we have about 100 over units worldwide. So this is SAM International. We are in many countries. I've actually lost count. But we are still growing. Philippines is the fastest growing. Yay! Yay us! Okay. And what we realize is that the Philippine children are very eager to learn. They are very eager, and they are very excited when there is a new program coming up that can excite them and challenge them every day. So that's the reason why we are growing so fast. Okay. So it's modeled after the Singapore Math curriculum, and it can be a standalone or supplement math program suitable for children 4 to 12. Now, we don't restrict children who are from 4 to 12. As long as the child can communicate, even if they cannot write, we accept them as children, because thinking does not just happen when you start writing. We want to develop them from a very young age. We even have 14-year-olds coming to us to try to relearn grade 6. And we find it very encouraging that even when you're older, you still want to learn. So for us in Enrich, our motto is that as long as you want to learn, we will teach. So this is SAM's tailored success approach. A lot of people use, a lot of other centers, they use just worksheets alone or books alone. They depend on curriculum alone. But for us, the pedagogy is actually two-pronged. What happens is that it's the classroom experience. This is where CPA happens. We understand that children not only learn through kinetic, visual, or audio, so it's a multi-sensory approach. The teachers do not tell the students what to do or how to do it. We ask questions. We make the children think. So whenever a child asks us how to do, we ask them back, how do you think? How do you do the first question? Look at it, and then we will figure it out together. We don't hover over the child. So one-to-one is a one-to-one. The teacher just sitting beside the child doesn't happen. The teacher actually walks around the room and give the child ample space to answer it themselves. Okay. So we learn through games as well. We have a lot of toys for the kids to play. Every lesson, every game has an objective. So the teachers going in actually knows what they are going to teach and why they are playing this game, why they are doing this, why they are doing that. Okay. Then after that, what we do is that we reinforce with worksheets. So after teaching, the child needs to know and needs to remember. We use it through worksheets. 15 minutes a day, 15 to 30 minutes a day for 6 days a week. In 3 months' time, the child can improve in mathematics and also thinking skills. Just about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, we have realized that a lot of children actually have improved a lot. Okay. So the classroom experience actually helps to encourage self-learning and independency. Most of our children, the average lifespan of an SAM child is only 2 years. The reason why it's only 2 years is not because the parents find that it's not effective anymore, but rather it's because the children don't need us anymore. And that is the best compliment that a teacher can have. It's because if the child doesn't need me anymore, the child can study himself. And that's what we have been realizing about SAM kids. They are able to study themselves, and mummies, daddies, you don't have to pay tuition anymore. Good, right? You save a lot of money. Okay? So all the teachers are certified trained. I train them personally. We go through courses. It's about 100 hours in total. I come back down, I audit them, and then we always have follow-up training sessions. So tomorrow actually is the start of a new training for a new batch of franchisees. So this is the SAM certified trainers batch in 2016. We have Enduring Colleges. We have a franchisee from Davao who is an engineer. CDO is actually another mathematics franchisee. We have tried to complement that mathematics program as well. And then we also have Mandaluyong. This is the March 2017. It's a very big group. We have one of the colleges, ICT College from Batangas, who has opened 3 units in total. We have Papanga, we have Rizal. Zamboanga is a school itself. We have Marikina, and now we have Rosario and Tanawan. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing it correctly. My staff has on the phone. Okay, repeat again. Tanawan, Tanawan. Biganan. How to pronounce that one? Rizal is what?
Rizal.
Just speak it slowly.
Binangonan. Yeah.
Binangonan.
I speak it fast, right? Hoping that I just through it, then like nobody hears it. Okay, so forgive me. I can't remember how to pronounce the words. Okay, so SAM learning pillars, the worksheet experience, we instill self-discipline. 15-30 minutes a day. And the good news for parents is that you are not allowed to teach. You are not allowed to help. You are basically putting the worksheets in front of the child and leaving him alone. If he doesn't do the worksheet, leave it. He gets it wrong, leave it. Let us know. Okay, so as all the centers, right, what they want to know is feedback. It's a very, very close parent-teacher relationship. Okay, so we can understand whether is the child bored, whether is it too difficult for the child. If it's too difficult for a child, we will either decrease the workload and then we understand and re-enter again. The whole point is actually to build the child's confidence through the worksheets as well. Okay, so good news, you don't have to hold a cane there, do. Which is what my mom used to do to me, It was very painful. Oh, they don't cane their children. Oh, my mom used to cane me. I'm from a different generation. Okay. These are the sample worksheets. If you want, we can actually give you a sample. We can email you the sample, but everything is copyrighted, so we are a little bit careful about how we do the worksheets. Franchiser will come and kill me. Okay, so all the worksheets are actually carefully calibrated. It's all step-up approach. So the thing about children is that if you don't tell them that it's difficult, they actually don't know. We just slowly step it up. And all the child actually sees is that, you know what, it's a challenge. It's more exciting. The worksheets are filled with pictures for the younger kids, and the older ones, the first question that they receive for word problems are very easy, very, very simple. And then after that, it gets harder and harder and harder as the time passes, but they don't see it at all. All they see is, I'm getting it right, it feels good. So that is the feel-good experience that we want kids to have. And it excites them and it encourages them to do more. Okay? So this is the SEN classroom. Okay? This is actually in Singapore, and this is Malaysia. So in Singapore, all our classrooms don't have a fixed look. Our main objective for our classroom is that it has to be conducive. Okay, this is Marikina. This is the center. So this is an example of the manipulatives that we use. Some children can actually create their own manipulatives as well as the time passes, and they can bring it home and play with their siblings. So this is learning addition. This is actually learning how to count with their fingers. So we don't stop them from using their fingers. If they want to use their toes, take off their shoe lah. Okay? So we buy toys to encourage children, but we don't believe in every child is a winner kind of format. We only reward when they do it correctly, when they are right. Okay? So SEM curriculum, just a summary. It's relevant to Singapore schooling. The pace, the speed in how subjects are being taught. We follow accordingly to the sequencing of the topics as well. We have created, now it's 50,000 pages of worksheets already, and the curriculum keeps on updating. So Singapore government will actually inform us 2 years in advance if the topic changes, so that we can prepare. So we are on top of things already. So right now they're actually changing part of the curriculum to actually improve it as well. Okay? It's a complete and comprehensive curriculum. And because actually SAM is worldwide, it's a global program, what happens is that the master franchisees, we talk to each other. We discuss on learning abilities and also learning objectives, how best to teach a certain topic, what's the CPA for this. And the thing is that kids in Philippines will also be getting what other kids around the world will be getting. So we are actually holding it to international standards, not just local standards. Okay, so it's a holistic math approach. Okay, it's not rote learning, drills, practice. We focus on the 21st learning competencies: critical thinking, heuristics, logical reasoning, metacognition, understanding, modeling techniques, and situational word problems. This is SAM in the media. Our marketing in Rizal, because I can't pronounce that name. Okay, so this is a success story from one of the moms. She used to be from another program, and then she brought it over to SAM. So SAM is actually predominantly a franchise business. What we believe is that we want to allow every educator in Philippines or an entrepreneur to actually have an opportunity to do this business. It's a very, very simple business. So it's authenticated by the Singapore Franchise Training School, and it's a profitable business model. So we have comprehensive training by me. Most of my franchisees, if usually they cannot understand, they'll just email me the questions, because me explaining on the phone, they still don't get it. And I actually give them guidance through regular audits and visits, and individual franchisee and national meeting with me. So every quarter we have a national meeting with all the franchisees involved. They tell us the problems and we solve it together as a team. Franchisees have one-on-one with me on a monthly basis. So the franchise is actually supported by 2 programs, Octo and Eco. So your students, right, when they come to SAM, it's a consistent, standard way of learning. It's not like it's based on one teacher teaches better than another teacher in the center, then your child, benefits more. It's not like that in SAM. SAM, every child gets the same kind of curriculum. Okay, thank you. Any question?